Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to go over the consoles that I had when I was growing up. I'm getting older, my memory was already not so great. I just wanted to create a little time capsule of gaming from my perspective. My earliest gaming memory is probably when I was 4 or 5. My dad came home with this wicker basket filled with games and a console, and that console was the Atari 2600. I don't really remember playing it that much. I remember my family playing it a lot. Space Invaders, Missile Command, Pitfall, Adventure, that game where you're the little duck and you're going around the maze trying to collect stuff. If I asked my dad to name a video game, he would totally name off an Atari game. Atari was his jam. Now, this was the first time that we ever had a game console. I remember being really kind of mind blown by just the idea of having to plug something into your TV. Put the cord in there and turn it to a certain channel, and the controller, just one button, and that's not actually that original Atari. We got rid of it, unfortunately, but the Atari is definitely the beginning of my video game journey. Fast forward to 1995 or 96, and we got our first Nintendo console, the Super Nintendo. I have a ton of memories with this system. This is actually my childhood system. It says copyright 1991 here, but I don't think this is from 1991. My brother and I would play games on this thing for so long. I really connected with my brother over this console. We would play games like A Link to the Past, Mortal Kombat, all the Donkey Kong Country games. We had the Super Mario All-Stars cart, so we had all the Super Marios and Super Mario World. My dad had this big CRT TV that he let us play on. When he got home from work, he always wanted us to unplug the Super Nintendo and take it into the other room because he thought we were gonna mess up the TV or some settings or something. We couldn't play it after he got home because we didn't have another TV. Either we didn't have another TV or it was just a small rinky-dink one and we didn't want to play on the small TV. Also, this was before the internet and walkthroughs, so if you got stuck in a game, you kind of just had to put it away for a bit and come back to it later, or find somebody else that you knew and ask them about it. It was kind of the first experience that I had being able to connect with other people over a video game. Definitely have really fond memories of the Super Nintendo. Right around the same time I had a Super Nintendo, I also had a Game Boy, but I only really remember playing Pokemon. That was really the Pokemon age for me, both Pokemon Blue and Gold. I also got a Game Boy Advance, but I don't really remember playing too many games besides Golden Sun. That's really the only standout game from the Game Boy Advance. We were kind of late to the next console, the N64. This is the Jungle Green version, which is the version that came bundled with Donkey Kong 64, and that wasn't released until 1999. I have just as many memories on the N64 as I do on the Super Nintendo. There are a ton of great games for that console. We played Donkey Kong 64 and Super Mario 64 and Smash Brothers and Star Fox and Banjo-Kazooie and GoldenEye. One game in particular that sort of stood above all these other ones, and that game is Perfect Dark. This game fueled many a rage-filled afternoon. I honestly believe that this is probably the game that started me playing competitive FPS games. My brother had this friend that used to come over every single day after school. We played Perfect Dark the whole night, and it was just absolutely amazing. N64 is like my coming of age console. Video games weren't really considered nerdy anymore. Tons of people in my school had them. It was very acceptable to talk about them and play them versus Super Nintendo, which I didn't really feel that many people had a Super Nintendo or talked about it. N64 was just a really fun console. 2 years later, and the Gamecube came out. I remember that these were kind of hard to find. I don't think we got one right away. I think it was a few months after the release that we were able to find one in a store. I know I say this about every console. This console had some great games. Smash Brothers Melee and Mario Sunshine and Luigi's Mansion and Metroid Prime and Wind Waker. The GameCube is the console where I really felt that 3D games really took off. The N64 was 3D, but it didn't perform that well compared to the later generation consoles. The GameCube controller has got to be my favorite Nintendo controller. Much better compared to this abomination. If you look behind me, you can totally notice a trend in the consoles that I was preferring at this point. I was a total Nintendo fanboy. It wasn't until shortly after the GameCube that I was able to get both an Xbox and a PlayStation 2, and I actually got them on the same day. That's a story for another time. This is harder than it looks. For the first time ever, we had completed the trifecta of a console generation. So we had the GameCube, the Xbox, and the PlayStation 2, all from that generation. PlayStation, it was really more of like the RPG machine for me. So we got like Final Fantasy X, Kingdom Hearts, I played Grand Theft Auto. The big game for me on the PlayStation 2 was actually Dynasty Warriors. I played a ton of Dynasty Warriors. Those games are so fun. But between the PlayStation and the Xbox, the star of the show for me is the Xbox for sure. Halo, pretty much enough said. I had this 100-foot Ethernet cord that went all the way down my parents' basement and all the way down the stairs so that I could hook up my original Xbox and play Halo in the basement. Through Halo, it kind of gave me a chance to be not super nerdy, even though that's ironic that a video game gave me a chance to be not nerdy, but I was able to connect with the sort of the normie gamers. It was another one of those moments where gaming didn't seem like such a bad word. It was a really fun time, and I was able to connect with kids that I wouldn't normally have connected with. Hopefully you've stuck with me this long, and if you have, you are in for an absolute treat. I have one more console, and this is pretty much the last console that I consider to be in my childhood. My customized Xbox 360. Don't laugh, this is art. Unfortunately, it doesn't work right now. This is actually one of the first generation Xbox 360s, and the power supply is currently not working, so I can't even boot it. Leave a like on this video if you want me to do a teardown of this bad boy. Now, I said that was the last console of my childhood because that was pretty much the last console I bought before I transitioned over to computer gaming. I pretty much exclusively played Halo 3 and Call of Duty on that Xbox. I don't remember playing too many other games, maybe Dead Rising. Oh, and Guitar Hero too. I remember playing so much Guitar Hero. We would always go to my friend's house and play that game for hours. Guitar Hero was interesting because I was playing a lot of online games, and that was really kind of like an offline / in-person game. It was definitely a good contrast to some of the other games I was playing. That's pretty much it, guys. Those are my childhood consoles. I hope you enjoyed me going through this trip down memory lane. The reason I wanted to go through this list was because, one, it sort of establishes my gamer cred, but two, this is more really for me from the future. I said it was a time capsule in the beginning, and I really meant that. I kind of want this video to be something that I will refer to in the future when I want to look back at some of these times. Maybe I'll update it in the future if I remember bits and pieces that I've left out. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, get subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video.